A scientific publication shows that Alexander the Great is in the tomb of Amphipolis. That they have, years ago, they have found some relics, human skeletons, but they whisked them away and they never told us who they belonged to. Now, according to the scientific publication of the Emeritus Professor of School of Architecture of the University of Kansas in the United States, Demetrius Dendrinos, very important data emerges out about the direction of the entrance to the burial monument of Amphipolis and how this direction can be connected to the deceased of the grave. So according to the professor's calculations, the direction of the entrance to the tomb points to the month of June as the probable date of death of the deceased of Amphipolis. And as is known, Alexander the Great died in Babylon in the palace of Nebuchadnezzar II on June 10th, the year 323 BC, at the age of exactly 32 years and 11 months old. And there's below the excerpt of the publication in Greek and English. The modular structure of the tomb at Casta Hill by Demetrius Dendrinos, Emeritus Professor of School of Architecture and Urban Design, University of Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, USA, in residence at the city of Ormond Beach, Florida, USA. December 4th, 2014. The major finding, since the monument is encircled in all its circular projected perimeter, P equals 497 meters, by marble slabs of this length, then the perimeter's length projected as a circle by a flat plane perpendicular to the cylinder's axis must be exactly divided by this outside modulus, and indeed it is, and with a big surprise in store. If one divides the total length of the perimeter P by the length of the external modulus Z, one obtains the total number of marble slabs needed to cover the total perimeter wall in each row of slabs N. And he has a type of an equation here. In effect, this number N is off the grid by a length of about half a meter, about 60 centimeters, and almost half a kilometer long perimeter. It could be that this is the difference between the actual elliptical perimeter of the tomb P and the projected circular perimeter P plus any special space needed to attach and seal the slabs. However, there is far more to this length than simply that slack. N is a remarkable number with an astronomical connection. We now know from precise astronomical measurements that there are 365.22 days in the year. The architect approximated the N through his module, an astronomical number. The days in the year number produced by the monument's architect is 600 of 1%, 0.0006, different than the actual astronomical derived number. One may comfortably say it's an exact estimate. This astronomical link is quite informative and in effect stunning given the age of the monument. Humans have constructed monumental structures obeying the daily cycle, the lunar cycle, and this monument was built obeying one significant element of the annual cycle, the whole calendar year. Here, in effect, each marble stone on the periphery wall corresponds to about 1 degree in an approximate 360-degree circle. Since this finding points directly towards a link involving an astronomical number of significant import, and since the architect designed this module so that he was fully aware of its connection, the chances that this N is a random event are next to zero. One needs to ask whether there is more to this finding. Obviously, it's now time to explore its significance and symbolism further in reference to this particular monument. For example, is the location of the entrance significant given that the place it occupies corresponds to particular days of the year? If one assumes that some point on the perimeter, say the northernmost point, corresponds to the first day of the year, if the year's flow follows a clockwise motion, this interpretation would point to an entrance at the June-July period. Depending on where exactly the entrance is, it would point to a late May, early June date if the flow is counterclockwise. This may offer some additional clues as to the intent of the tomb's architect, the purpose of the monument, and possibly some extraordinary date in the life of its occupant. However, this symbolic aspect of the tomb's external structure will not be done here. The need to evaluate more the accuracy of this extraordinary finding requires that we take a closer look as to the sizes of the circle and the ellipse at hand and their material references. Translation: the most important finding, since the monument is surrounded along its entire length with marble slabs of this length, then the length of the perimeter projected as a circled flat surface perpendicular to the axis of the cylinder must to be exactly divisible by this measure from outside, and indeed this is also with a great surprise. If one divides the total length of this perimeter P by the length of the external coefficient Z, we get the total number of marble slabs required to cover the entire perimeter wall in each row of slabs. In fact, this number n is off the grid, as we said, about 60 centimeters. Now, the number of days in the year produced by the architect of the monument is still 600 600ths of 1%, different from the actual pot astronomically derived number. One can easily say it is an accurate estimate. People have built monument structures in obedience to the daily cycle, lunar cycle, and monuments built in obedience to one important element, that annual cycle as a whole calendar year. And here, in fact, each marble stone on the circumference of the wall corresponds to 1 degree. Now, obviously, it's now time to explore the meaning and symbolism further in relation to this particular monument. And we already said this, of course. Now, it also reminds in a position end of May, beginning of June, if the flow is to the left. This may provide some additional clues as to the intention of the tomb's architect, that the purpose of the monument is, and possibly some extraordinary dates in the lives of its occupants. However, this symbolic dimension of the outer structure of the tomb will not be done here. The need to further assess the accuracy of this surprising finding requires that we take a closer look at the sizes of the circle and the ellipse and their essential differences. And this I've translated from a Greek article for you. So it could be that this tomb is in fact of Alexander the Great because of the way the architect built it, showing that this is exactly the date of his passing. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.